Do's and don'ts for converting your garage into a apartment or income property or mother-in-law suite. Welcome, I'm Stephanie Jones with Design My Space. I'm so glad you're here. I am going to go over do's and don'ts on what to do when you are converting your garage into an income generating property. But for this, I'm gonna bring in a little help. He is handsome and a looker, my husband, Justin.
Let's roll. Scoot and roll.
Rolling with my homies.
Hello. How are you?
Justin is a general contractor here in Florida, and we have our show together, Busted Cribs, and he's gonna go over these do's and don'ts with me on converting your garage into an income generating property or mother-in-law suite, etc., etc. All right, we will start with our don'ts first, so that we end on a high note. What do you think?
Let's do that.
All right.
First, don't.
Don't
Leave your garage door on a conversion. Or if you remove the garage door, don't put this lame looking, like you could see where the garage door was. Now It looks horrible. Blend it in, make it pretty looking. If it's stucco all the way across, saw cut the driveway, put some shrubs out front, make it look like it wasn't a garage.
Yes, do not leave the garage door and don't make it look silly.
Ghetto.
Yeah.
I can't say ghetto.
Don't make it look silly when you do it.
Silly.
All right,
Silly's better.
Don't leave the floor on a pitch.
Oh gosh.
Garages have to be pitched for water intrusion. Is that how you call it?
I have to put a basically like an 1/8 inch pitch on a garage floor. But when a garage is 20 feet deep, that comes out to like 3 or 4 inches by the time you get all the way out to the end of it. So when you're converting it, all of a sudden people can feel that where they're like walking downhill.
Oh no, you like drop a can in the kitchen and it rolls down your new living space.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. Also, don't skimp on design. Just because it is a renovation or a garage doesn't mean that you can't make it look beautiful and have it be designed well. People will notice if you have done a cheap flip on this garage and they won't want to rent your space. The number one thing is generating income or making your in-laws or mother-in-law or whoever's living in that space feel like it's their home, not that it's a garage conversion.
Correct. Don't forget the elevation change from your house to your garage. Unless you're gonna close off that access from your house to the garage and make a new access that people can use to come in. A lot of times we'll see that to where it's like this step down. And I don't know about you, but as soon as I step down, I'm like, what am I stepping down into?
Dun, 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 dun.
The floor is lava, time to go.
So do not forget about your elevation change. The last don't, until we move to the do's,
is a big one.
Don't forget to insulate well. Don't just insulate, but insulate well, especially if it's attached to your home. You're gonna wanna do some really thick batting in there or even spray foam, which is really gonna seal up your space nicely. It's also not gonna be as expensive on the back end with your air conditioning and heating. So make sure you insulate well. That's a huge, huge thing that people overlook when doing their garages. All right, we get to do our do's.
Let's do it.
All right, do a washer and dryer stacked. It saves so much space, but also it'll raise your value when you're going to rent this as an income property because people want an in-unit, like an in-unit?
They want to be able to wash their clothes in the apartment.
Their unit. So make that a feature because that is something that will, raise your monthly rate and give you a lot of profit.
Yes.
All right, do an open floor plan. It doesn't need to be like a studio. I think that looks kind of janky, but make your kitchen and the dining and the living space all one.
Yes.
It'll feel open. When they walk in, it'll feel a lot bigger. When we did our tree house, it was an Airbnb at our last house. People thought it was so much bigger than it was. It was a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, but we maximized the space and we made sure that the open floor plan made it feel just so much bigger than it was. And we had a true, kitchen and everything in that.
Yeah, the open living concept. Basically, like she's explaining, anywhere where your common area is going to be, make it all one. Where you're going to be sleeping at night or you want some privacy, make that one.
All right, do creative storage options. Because it is a garage, there's not much space, but also sometimes you have 2x6 walls, which you can utilize those nooks in between the exterior and, your interior wall, you can utilize that space for a storage unit. You know, we've done that before where we've done a shower niche in there, or even like a closet inside of that unused space. But get really creative with your spacing, like, or your storage options. We've also done on a fridge panel, we've turned the pantry sideways and cut it down so that you can put your brooms and your cleaning supplies, because that maximizes your storage, and you're not having to utilize an actual closet or something that's really a valuable space for that. And it looks good too.
You do a great job with that.
I like having creative options for storage, and that is key when you do a garage conversion. All right, make sure you have function, but also style. Don't skimp on the style when you're doing a garage conversion. People notice if it's a garage, and you can do a couple things to help it not look like a garage, right?
That's correct.
Like, you know, you want to have more light, and you want to make sure your bathroom is nice and luxurious, and using really high-end material, not high-end, but really durable materials in your rental, so you don't have to replace it out, or it won't get dingy or disgusting because your renters they're gonna beat it up. So make sure you do not skimp on function or on style. Do put a lot of natural light in there.
Yes.
Garages tend to be kind of dark.
Garages in Florida, you typically have your garage door, and then you might have an access door off your garage, and every once in a while you'll have one small window, and that's it. By code, we gotta have access to the outside in case there's a fire. If you want to, when you take out the big garage door, like Stephanie's always says, put in your door, you got the header there, put in some windows, let as much natural light into this small area as possible. It'll light it all up, make it look a lot more homey and inviting.
Yeah, and also, you know, whatever side the sun rises and sets at, put windows on those sides. That way you always have that natural light coming in from those two windows. And I always like to do 3 windows in a space. So if I have, you know, my living room, I put a window here, here, and here. That way you have that triad of light that just comes flowing into the room, and it just feels more airy. It doesn't feel like a garage.
Very true.
All right, do use mini splits. I just think there's no other option. Honestly, they're a little pricey, but on the back end, if your renter is using their air conditioning all the time, it's gonna run up your electrical bill. It will, if they forget it and they leave it on, they don't care, because you're gonna be paying for it. If you have an Airbnb, for instance, you're gonna be paying for it. So for us, it was such a key thing to put a mini split in there. They can control their own temperature. I mean, they've had it down at 69, and our bill for the whole entire month in Florida was like $60 on the high end for our entire house. So we had like an 1,800 square foot house and a 400 square foot Airbnb rental on top of our garage. And that whole area, that both units, we had mini splits in our house too. Our whole bill was on the max $60 for the month. Now, granted, we had gas also, but that's a huge savings. With the insulation that we did, the proper insulation, and the mini splits, it's a game changer. So you can't afford to not do mini splits. That's our do, right? Our final do is do mini splits.
Yes. Just leave it at that. We've seen so many where it's like, oh gosh, if you would have just done this, it would have been so much nicer.
Yeah. And also, would you want to live there? Do make it exactly how you would want it to be, right? Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys want me to design your space, go below to the link to design my space. It'll take you to a form where you can fill it out, send me some pictures, send me a challenge. I would love a challenge from one of you guys. Send me something that'll like really get me my creative juices flowing. But the link is below. I'm really thankful you guys tuned in, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for joining me too, babe. Oh. Yeah. Oh man, this again. Bye. Justin, what door?